What was the creepiest/scariest thing that ever happened while you were alone? I spoke to the ghost of my great-grandmother on the telephone. I didn't recognize her voice because she had died over 60 years before I was born. But a very elderly-sounding lady called and calmly told me to tell Essie it is time to come home now. I kept telling her she had the wrong number. But she was adamant that I pass along the message. 2 hours later, my grandmother's assisted living home called and told us that my grandmother Esther had passed away in her sleep. Her mother had died when she was 16. And Essie was my grandmother's childhood nickname. This was 25 years ago, and thinking about it still makes the hair on my neck stand on end. This didn't happen to me. But my sister. She was home alone and I was out at the mall with a friend. I called her to ask what t-shirt she wanted from the store I was at, and she told me she was scared that there was ghost in the house. I asked what happened. She had put a hot pocket in the microwave and gone into her room to change. While she was changing, she heard the microwave go off, signaling that her hot pocket was done. We have a small house. The kitchen and living room are open and connected, and her room opens to the living room. She comes out of her room to grab the hot pocket. But instead of it being in the microwave, it was out on the living room coffee table, all warmed up. If that happened to me while I was alone, I would have been out of there so fast. I was camping with friends. It was early in the season and we were the only ones in that section of the park. One morning I stayed in my sleeping bag in the tent while everyone else went to the facilities, which were a bit of a walk away. I dozed off again. I was awoken by someone grabbing my foot through the tent. I was groggy and assumed it was a friend playing a joke and kicked and said "Beep off." My foot was grabbed again and pulled. And I kicked again pretty hard. Not afraid to kick my friend who was now pissing me off. He stopped and I dozed off again. I woke up again probably less than half an hour later and heard my friends in the distance returning. When they got back, I asked them who was the one trying to wake me up. They had no idea what I was talking about. Honestly. I told them about something grabbing my foot through the tent and they thought I was trying to tell a story to scare them. I still have no idea what it was. It wasn't even dark out at the time. I live in a small house next to my father's home, which is in the middle of the woods, Norway. Even though I am 18 years old, it can be quite scary being completely alone sometimes, especially after dark. This incident happened some time ago, about 1 year or so. It was well over midnight and I was just about to go to sleep. Eyelids closed. I had been lying in bed for a while. Unfortunately, there was no sleep to come, because I suddenly heard an ominous scream outside. It was extremely loud, and almost sounded like it was directly over my house. It was indescribably scary. The scream was something straight out of a horror movie, like a blend between an animal and a human in pain. The freakiest part was that I could hear the sound moving through the air above me, from one point to another. Believe me, it was fast as lightning, and gone before I knew it. The suddenness scared me speechless. It was so unexpected. I stayed up all night with the lights on. The day after the incident, I spoke to my father about it. It turned out that he had heard it too. He even rushed to the window to see what was going on outside. None of us have a clue of what the hell that scream was about. But there was some kind of relief knowing that I wasn't the only one experiencing it. We even joked about it being a witch flying through the air. But all jokes and speculations aside, I hope I never hear something like that ever again. I still have trouble sleeping sometimes. I wonder if it could have been a bird that swept up a rabbit. It's sad and horrifying. But those little guys do scream. I live in the suburbs of Detroit, and my last house I was home alone with my 2 kids and 2 dogs. Had someone ring my doorbell at midnight, then play with the door handle. My 1 dog was in the window. We had a bay window, barking and growling and lunging at the window. I called the police, but the person took off. A couple weeks before that, we had someone firing off a gun in the neighborhood. When I was about 10-11, I was walking home from a local store that was across the street from my apartment complex after buying milk. I walked by an older gentleman, maybe late 60s. After I passed him, he said, "Excuse me, miss." I turned around and he was furiously masturbating in the open, saying, "You like that? You like that?" I ran faster than I ever have in my life. Never told anyone. Never saw him again. Def creepy. Edit. Words. Also have other traumatizing creepy man penis stories. We lived rural, so no street lights. Home alone. Dark outside. Power goes off. No worries, I'm not too bad in the dark. However, as soon as the lights went out, the electric toothbrush starts going full noise. It was uncharged. Don't know why it happened, but it took me a while to realize what it was. I was sure I was going to be chopped into little pieces. No real danger. Don't know if this thread still upvote/gets read or whatever, but I'll post my story. I was 18 at the time, and I recently got a new job working in an old Freemason bar. It was like my 20th shift, and my manager had to leave early, and he left me with the keys to lock up. I locked all the doors and went around turning off all the lights upstairs and went back to the bar to cash up. While I'm cashing up, I hear a massive crash in the kitchen, so I go and investigate, and nothing seemed out of order. I went back to the bar to see 2 gentlemen sitting at the bar. I was a little taken aback to see them, but I thought nothing of it and poured them both a drink. I then bent down to clean the glasses out of the glass cleaning machine, and when I come back up, the gentlemen had disappeared, but their beers remained untouched in their glasses. I think not much of it and just assume they left. The 2 things that really got to me were when I went to leave, the front door was locked from where I locked it earlier in the night, as well as all the other doors, and when I told my manager, he explained how the last person who worked on the bar claimed they were pushed down the stairs while they were alone. So in his words, the spurts here must like you. I swear this is no bull's peep. Edit grammar. I was 12 years old, and we were sitting there watching TV as a family at about 8 p.m. The power goes out. So my dad goes to the switchboard around the side of the house outside to see if it was that. We then heard the side gate open, so we could tell he was coming around the side through the back door, not the front door. The back door then doesn't open for about 30 seconds. When he should have reached the door after opening the gate by like 10 seconds. So we're all staring out the back door into the darkness, waiting for him to open it and come inside. There's candles lit inside now. And my dad shines a flashlight at his face with his hand holding his hair, so it looks like someone had ripped his head off and was showing us. I was peeping 12 and I screamed and screamed. Turns out everyone was in on it. Beep my family. I was 12. This was my story from a similar thread months ago, but it still pertains. It was 2 a.m. and I was bored. So I went out to this park a bit out of town to go biking. It for the most part is surrounded by trees at all ends, with a running/biking track that goes around the park. The park was lined with street lights though, so you could vaguely see. I've been going there for a few times that week around this time because it unwinded me and felt good at that outside. But this time when I was making my rounds, I see 4 peeping 6-year-old looking figures come out of the forest. It was 4 to 7 of them, I don't remember. But these little things didn't have a parent with them and all, and seemingly stayed silhouetted. I was kind of biking in their general direction when they started peeping coming towards me. Thankfully I was around 200 feet away from them, but I could make out them and the spooky little speeps were coming. I don't think I biked faster my entire life. I literally became Lance Armstrong with an extra testicle for a good 3 minutes. Charging it home. It was unexplainable. I've been alone and haven't seen a single person all the times I went. I haven't gone since. Needless to say.